I should say at the outset that since I'm in the vicinity, I'm a UNH alum, having received, I got my Bachelor of Music in 1977 and a Bachelor of Music in 1977. That's what I need to hear myself on bouncing off the back wall there. That's a good. And then also Master of Music Education in 1984. And I did the thing that a lot of people in my generation did at that time. I went into education and became a public school teacher and worked with became a teacher in Manchester eventually and worked as leadership with the Manchester Education Association, which is tied to NEA New Hampshire and NEA nationally. I want to tell you a story as part of the reason that I'm involved in this movement. I knew Angelo Gabriel Rocco. And Angelo Gabriel Rocco was a man who immigrated with his family from Italy in around 1900. And the family landed or settled in Lawrence, Massachusetts, when the textile mills were still going at full speed. And being a young mill worker, he experienced the long hours and the unsafe conditions, fire hazards, and so on. A friend of his, a woman, a friend of his that he witnessed, got her hair caught in one of the mill machines and was scalped within seconds. And this brought him to be even more a part of the leadership of something we now know in 1912 as the Bread and Roses strike in Lawrence. And it's one for the history books because it set the tone for a lot of the labor movement in this country. And that's what I wanted to bring up today as far as my purpose for being with Occupy New Hampshire. I see a direct correlation between the corporate political runaways that we've been witnessing in the past years with a general decline in at least the stand of organized, what we call organized labor. And I think it's been happening for some time. And labor unions have been discouraged in one way or another. But the main purpose of labor unions is to be a body, collaborate together so that you can have a collective large voice, much like what the Occupy movement does. And we had, in those labor union years, we had protections, we had benefits, we had job protection as well as safety protection, safety for workers, and decent living wages for families. And they counterbalance the corporate world because they are masses of us, working people who collectively come together as a force against the type of corporate runaways that we've seen. As a classroom teacher, I never would have had the advancements and the protections that I had were it not for a teachers' union, a teachers' association, if you want to call it that, because it was our bargaining unit. And when you bargain collectively, and when you are represented by a collective bargaining unit, obviously your chances of coming out with a much finer contract and deal is possible. And so I thought about all of the things that were of value to me as being a common laborer, if you will, a teacher in the classroom, still a common laborer, and able to survive very well and comfortably. And so I really feel that Occupy groups everywhere, and employers of conscience, even independent and self-employed workers, such as myself. I'm recently sort of an independent worker in the music field, must understand and support the revitalization of the traditional labor movement, the one that Angelo Rocco knew when those forces of mill workers went out with terrible conditions, and the situation wasn't much different then than the kind of thing we're facing now. So I thought that to be involved in any movement that is going to help us as working people, I hesitate to say working class, but we called it middle class, people that have to go to work 9 to 5 to come home with a decent income and decent wages and benefits for their families. So that's the reason for my involvement, is that as the many that we are and that we're growing and becoming, we are a force that can stand up against this, this unfortunate tide. Thank you.